Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Chesterfield Township regular Township Board meeting for Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 7 p.m. to order. Could we all please stand, face the flag, recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, roll call. Ms. Niza, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Here.
Treasurer Elliott. Here. Trustee Anderson.
Here.
Trustee Joseph.
Here.
Trustee Vosper. Not here.
Not here. She was excused. She's on a pre-planned vacation.
Okay. And a Trustee Hornberger.
Here. And Clerk Berry, I do not know where she's at. I know she was here in the building today, but I don't see her here, so. All that being said, we will move on to item 4, the approval of the agenda. Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second it, but it wasn't amendment.
Yep. Motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Hornberger to approve the agenda as presented with an amendment. Do you want to describe that amendment now, or you want to wait?
Yes, I guess it would be possibly under item 10J. I would like to make a motion to, I'd like to make a motion to have our treasurer reimburse the township for the $836.80 in taxpayer dollars that was spent on an individual political flyer that was included in the 2025 winter tax bill.
That would be, that's a separate item, and that would be a separate motion. I believe the proper way to handle that is going to be approve the agenda. That item is not an agenda item as we speak. So that would have to be added under the, I'll defer to,
Well, you can, yeah, it's commonplace to amend agendas to add items. If the motion is to approve the agenda with the addition of, pick where you want to put it on the agenda, you can just add it as the last item under the regular agenda and add it as that agenda item, and then have a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
so 10J would be an amended item to discuss reimbursement of funds spent for political mailer. Does that sound suitable to you?
That's what I fall under then, so yes.
Okay. Item 10, so we'll approve the agenda as presented with the addition of item 10J, a discussion to seek reimbursement for funds spent. Any further discussion? That being said, I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Hornberger, to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of item 10J. If you all would please cast your votes. Votes will appear on the screen once all votes are cast. Clerk Berry, I'll give you a chance to catch up if you did. Item passes 6-0. Next agenda item, item 5, presentations. There are no presentations scheduled tonight. Item 6, department reports. We do have a couple of department reports tonight. We'll start out with Director Bassett. For the electeds, I sent, Director Bassett's going to address a memo we received from the Michigan State Police. I'll let him describe it in detail, but I gave you a copy. I laid a copy in front of you for your own, to follow along with. So Director Bassett, it's all yours.
Okay, sorry about that. Again, I just want to discuss a letter I received from the Michigan State Police, and I'll read a portion of the letter. Due to ongoing staffing limitations, the Michigan State Police Metro North Post is adjusting its deployment of resources to ensure adequate services within its primary coverage area. At this time, the Metro North Post does not have sufficient resources to respond to calls for service on incorporated freeway segments within Oakland and Macomb counties. Real briefly, that will present a challenge to our department. There's going to be additional demands on our resources. And unfortunately, this is a continuation of both our state and federal law enforcement partners with their resources being diverted elsewhere. I'd be happy to take any questions, but again, I just want to bring this to the board and kind of loop you in on some of the challenges we're facing.
Any board questions? I'm concerned about this. Obviously, that our officers and departments are busy enough, and we do respond to the freeway, which is the area that they've generally handled. And we usually, in the past, have turned items, crashes, and events on the freeway over to the Michigan State Police, hence why they were here in our township and using our building. That's unfortunate. Our call volume was already increasing, and interrupt me if I'm wrong, since I left. It's increasing. The demands on the staff is ever growing daily, and we're going to have to reach out to the state police and find out what's going on, because this does present a problem for our community. They are a resource that we've used extensively. So, let's take any of your thunder.
No, and you know, I don't want to speak specifically for numbers for them, but when I directly worked with the inspector, who's now the acting commander, he cited that they have, compared to 10 years ago, they have about 25% of the staffing assigned at the Metro North Post. And that's just the challenge they have. Obviously, he's not the one, you know, assigning or not assigning bodies. Why that's happening, that's above his level, but it presents a very real challenge for them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Sonnenberg?
Good evening. I just wanted to provide the board with some quick updates. The Township Hall and Police Department projects, we're in our final phases. We're doing our final punch list items. And during that process, we moved a lot of our furniture during our renovation over to the old youth center at the end of Sugarbush. There was some miscellaneous file cabinets and some unused furniture. We have that on up for auction on the GovDeals website. So if anybody's interested in that furniture, they can visit govdeals.com and search Chesterfield, Michigan, and those few items will come up, and any residents that would like to could bid on those items. All permanent records that were stored at the youth center from the police department and here were gathered and moved to a secure location at the community center. Our F&O staff completed their move to the community center. We plan to take advantage of our time at the community center and develop a 3D model of the mechanical systems and the building to provide better insight to some future renovations. We are also working on some creative ways to modernize the community center, like things we did at Brandenburg Park, by simply removing the ceiling tile and some of the grid and opening up that ceiling and spraying the deck will modernize it. There's about 4 to 5 feet above that ceiling deck. It'll make the hallways feel larger than they currently are. At Brandenburg Park, we have completed the entrance gate. So for those of you who have seen the arms are in place. All the work physically is done on site. We're just doing some behind the scenes connectivity and firewall work to connect to those gates. So our plan with those gates now is to activate them at night, close the park at night, let's say at midnight, and open them up at 4 or 5 in the morning, just to get used to those gates working. There's also a video call box that is directly connected to dispatch and connected to several of our staff cell phones, so we can have direct communication if there's any after-hours issues at the park while we're working those bugs out. We are also in the final phases developing our detailed concept for our new maintenance and public safety small footprint buildings at Brandybrook Park. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Any further department reports? Trustee Anderson, I'm bringing up the board.
Thank you. Few minutes from our public safety meeting on January 7th. Renovations on the police department are almost, the building itself are almost complete. A few other, some minor things inside are still being worked on. Staffing update as far as the records, if you need any record reports from the police department, they will be manning personnel in that office between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. daily. Wednesday, there'll be someone there until 5 p.m. We have a part-time firefighter starting January 9th. 5 cadets are about to start the police academy on the 27th. We do have some of our police supervisors going to advanced staff and command academies, as well as the FBI academy. And we do have the police and fire testing for promotions set up for March and April. Fire department, the accreditation process, which is a national standard, et cetera, is moving along well. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Joseph?
Just a quick update from our senior advisory committee. We met last night, and just touching on some of the highlights, the committee was made aware of some work that was done in our facilities and operations department. Josh Sonnenberg presented pretty detailed plans involving potential addition to the senior wing. If you recall, we had some foundation work that was done for pavilion. Those foundations will be part of whatever improvement comes, whether it's a canvas sort of more temporary or a full gazebo type structure. We're looking at various for lack of a better term, kits or components that come ready to go, as well as Josh has got a pretty great idea to partner with a carpentry school and bring in, at least for the labor portion, potential gazebo type, again, that will mount to the existing foundation, but we'll continue to monitor all of those options. The other thing that was discussed, I think our Parks and Rec Director, Ms. Vanderson, did a very nice job of explaining to the group. We will have part of it on our agenda tonight, and then again on the 27th, I believe, and that is the CDBG funding and how that's spent. There was a $11,000 allocation from this board regarding the 25-26 fiscal year CDBG funds. And worth pointing out, a little bit different than in years past, grant money was used to purchase either equipment or additional tables or chairs, and I think wisely done by Ms. Vanderson. We've shifted that allocation of grant money instead of to things that we run into problems later on. CDBG money that's used for seniors can only be used by seniors. So if we purchase tables and chairs, using them for an overflow event in some other becomes prohibitive just based on the grant. So CDBG monies have been used for to offset some of the costs of the bus trips, different gatherings at the senior center, holiday gatherings, concerts, things like that. Again, the 25-26 allocation was $11,000, and we'll discuss it later on this agenda. and next board meeting, what the next year's allocation looks like. Lastly, the review of our 2026 goals, and the commission has put a priority on continuing to improve the ongoing communication with the township board and the departments, maintain a sense of connection and understanding from the wants and needs of the seniors who take advantage of the services there. There's also approximately $40,000 that was raised through charitable giving that is in a fund marked and allocated for the seniors. They will work to figure out how to best spend that in a way that benefits all the members. And just as a last point, the committee was very grateful and appreciative of the work that the Township Board has done to really just create the committee, and they would like, obviously, to maintain a liaison position between the senior membership and the Township administration. Oh, I'm sorry, one additional thing, our chairperson, Lisa Mintner, was acknowledged by the County Board of Commissioners, and she has been recruited and will now be a part of the county-wide, they call it a little something different. In effect, it is a county-wide senior advisory committee that provides information and updates to the county commissioners. Lisa has been a real asset to our community. Before that, she was very involved in Lance Cruise North, the music program, and has always been a booster or an advocate for almost every organization that you can think of. We're grateful that she continues to serve us on the local level and also on a county-wide appointment now. So thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments from the board? Clerk Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So, update from the clerk's office. As Josh mentioned, all of the records from 2 different locations have now been relocated at the community center working on, it's in a secured location now, and we're working on access and chain of custody when those records need to move in and out. They did a great job. I want to thank Josh and his crew. They got it done quickly. It's exactly what we had been hoping to have for a very long time, and so we're really grateful for that. Also, we are moving forward and have approved an itinerary or an implementation plan and schedule for the Laserfish upgrade for this year. Looks like the clerk's department will be hopefully fully integrated by April. And we have some beta testing that has to be done prior to full implementation enterprise-wide of that new system. So we hope to have all of our data testing done by, say, end of March, and then have the clerk's department fully onboarded by April. That is the planned implementation schedule at this time. That will make more easily accessible all of the records that the clerk's department holds on our retention schedule for use by anyone in the township and even members of the public as well. So it's the beginning of that process. We're very excited about that. Also, we are in the final stages, and it will be coming to the board shortly, of our final recodification of our township ordinances. So that has been a very long time in coming, but we've been working with Chris Anderson from our legal counsel to get all of that prepared, and so that code of ordinances should be fully updated and codified. Again, the board will see it a bit in pieces, and then the full codification as well. So we hope to have that done also by the beginning of April. So for board members to look for that for your review. Also, on the election side, the Election Commission will also be meeting to reevaluate the compensation schedule for our election inspectors. We believe we have found a way to save some additional funds from our previous structure, and so we will be meeting with the Election Commission and the Election Commission members to look at that and then make a recommendation to the full board. So look for that also in the next couple of months. Lastly, just wanted to make mention, anyone who's been active on social media, also in the regular media, there's been a lot about the number of individuals who Clerk Tony Ferlini, Macomb County Clerk, found to have citizenship issues when going to serve for jury duty. Also found that 14 of those individuals throughout the county had actually registered to vote, in some cases voted. So we've been fielding some questions on that, and I'd just like to provide some clarification on that. So local clerks, county clerks, none of us have the capability of verifying citizenship. There is a nationwide database that the federal government maintains for that. We do not have access to that. The only mechanism that county or local clerks have to confirm citizenship is the question that is asked on a voter registration form that says, are you a United States citizen? And the individual who fills out that form does sign it. They indicate whether they are a citizen or not. And if they say they are, then by law, we must take essentially their word for it. There are criminal penalties, penalties of perjury if someone were to lie on that form. But as far as the clerks, that is the mechanism we have to rely on, and the law requires that. So we have no way to cross-reference that. That all falls on the Secretary of State's office. The problem that we're having, and the reason why this situation is allowed to occur, is that when people go to get a driver's license at the Secretary of State's office, there is the motor voter law that was implemented whereby people are automatically registered to vote when they go to get a driver's license. It is incumbent upon the staff at the Secretary of State's office when they are issuing that license to confirm whether or not that individual is eligible to be a registered voter. So just know that that is the level at which that decision is made in that regard. As far as when people register here with myself or at Clerk Ferlini's office or any other office that takes voter registrations, we have absolutely no way to confirm that, and the only thing we have to rely on is the response that is indicated on that form. So hopefully in the future we will be able to do that at the local level, but at this time that simply doesn't exist. So just wanted to make sure if that's an issue that concerns, I know concerns many people, if it concerns you, the place to send that concern is to the Secretary of State's office or your state legislator, your state senator, your state rep. They can change the state law. Also appeal to your member of Congress or your U.S. senator as well on the on the federal level. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 7, public comments. Public comments on agenda items only. There's a 3-minute time limit. If you would please state your name for the record. Not required, just helps us keep track. For the residents that are here for the public hearing on the SAD for paving, there's another opportunity to speak at that level too. So this is public comment section on the agenda items only. The mic is open. Pardon me? Agenda items only at this point. There's no other public comments at the end. If you can. Public comments on agenda items. Seeing no one, I'll move forward. Item 8, the consent agenda. Clerk Berry.
All items under the consent agenda are considered routine by the board and will be enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion of these items. If discussion of any item is required by a board member, it will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. A, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of December 16th, 2025. And the special board meeting of December 22nd, 2025. B, approval of the payroll report for week ending December 17th, 2025, with additional payroll proofing report. C, approval of the payroll report for week ending December 31st, 2025. D, approval of the payment of bills as submitted by the Finance Department. E, approve a request by Public Services to pay invoice number 202-61009 from Miss Digg in the amount of $6,774.84 for Miss Digg 811 services in 2026. And F, approve ordinance amendment number 206 and notice of adoption, which was previously approved for the rezoning of 17 parcels of land along 26 Mile Road from I-94 to County Line to the MX2 County Line Mixed Use District.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Clerk Berry. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Joseph?
Yes.
Motion by, or supported by trustee Joseph. Discussion? I have a motion by Clerk Barry, supported by trustee Joseph, to approve the consent agenda as read. If you would all please cast your votes. Votes will appear on the screen once all votes are cast. Item passes 6-0. Item 9, public hearing. There's a public hearing. Clerk Barry.
Item 9A is to conduct a public hearing for the proposed paving improvement of Nautical Drive Special Assessment District to consider objections to the petition for improvement into the creation of the Special Assessment District.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to open the public hearing. Is there any support?
Second?
Clerk Barry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing open at 7:28. Mr. O'Connor?
Good evening. I'll give a quick overview and then we'll answer any questions as they appear. This is a special assessment for a road reconstruction project. The county is contributing 50% of the project, and the project would be bid and built with the county 2026 road reconstruction program. It'll be built to the current county standards, so it'll be 28 feet wide, concrete curb and gutter, and probably asphalt roadway. So, and with that, you know, we'll answer any questions that appear.
Just real quick, the project was initiated by the residents?
Yes, a resident requested the district. We prepared the estimate, then we had a meeting, informational meeting with the district. Enough people were in favor of it. We released the petition. I think the signatures are around over 70% in favor of the project.
Okay. The mic is open for any of the residents that want to come to the podium and speak on the subject matter or topic. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, not seeing anyone that's coming to the mic in the public, Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to close the public hearing. Trustee Joseph Anderson? All's in favor? Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is closed at 7:30. Item 10, the regular agenda. Clerk Barry.
10A is to adopt resolution number 2026-02, number 3, for the installation and road paving improvements Special Assessment District, SAD, for Nautical Drive located in Lottie View subdivision, which confirms the sufficiency of the petitions and approves the estimated cost to proceed with the Special Assessment District.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Joseph, supported by Supervisor Kersten. Discussion at the board? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo the numbers that came out of our assessing department. This was resident initiated. It's a long process. It typically only happens when sufficient amount of neighbors are, really committed to correcting a long-standing problem. I think this particular project has really long overdue. There have been a number of attempts to try to correct the problems there without a special assessment district, and unfortunately, it just couldn't be done. But as was reported, this is a overwhelmingly supported project and has the support of 75% of the impacted neighbors and residents. So sorry we couldn't get it done for you in a different route, but I'm glad that it's finally going to be taken care of, because it's created a lot of problems for your community for a number of years. So hopefully this is a permanent fix, and I'm happy that it's finally getting done. Thank you.
Any further comments from?
We just need to vote.
Yeah. Any further comments from the board? Glad to have this in front of us, and again, progress in keeping the community and the subdivision nice. So I have a motion by trustee Joseph, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve item 10, what is it, 10A. If you would all please cast your votes. The results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 6-0. Item 10. It's through, yeah. We'll move on to the next item, 10B.
Item 10B is to approve resolution number 2026-01, 2026 real poverty tax exemption application, and authorize the Board of Review on the Township Board's behalf to annually update and revise the household income amounts as stated in Section 2 of the Income Guidelines.
Motion to approve?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Is there a yes, motion to approve? Is there a motion to approve for 10B?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Treasurer Elliott, supported by Trustee Anderson. Carrie?
Thank you. Enclosed in your packet is a 2026 poverty application. This is an annual request to approve the poverty income and asset guidelines. The only changes from last year is the household income, which is established based on the federal poverty standards, which are set by the federal government. Once this application is approved by the Board of Review will use these income guidelines when assessing hardship requests. To qualify for this exemption, the residents must own and occupy their property and meet the requirements outlined in the application, which is available once approved. It'll be available in the assessing department or online in the assessing website.
Thank you.
Questions?
Questions from the board? Seeing none, I have a motion by Treasurer Elliott, supported by Trustee Anderson, to approve item 10B. If you would please cast your votes. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Thank you, Carrie. Item passes 6-0. Item 10C.
Item 10C is to approve a recommendation by Parks and Recreation to appoint Laura Chapman to the Parks and Recreation Commission to continue the vacated term of Kyle Hecht through March 1st, 2027.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support? Treasurer Elliott. Ms. Vanderson?
Thank you. Laura is a resident here. She has kids who are active in our programs, and so we are looking forward to her perspective as an active user in the program. She is here this evening in the audience for you, and this one just is a little bit different because she is taking that vacated term, so it only goes till March 1st, 2027.
Laura, you want to raise your hand? Thank you. Discussion from board? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Treasurer Elliott, to approve item 10C. If you would please cast your votes. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 6-0. Welcome aboard. Thank you. Item 10D.
Item 10D is to approve a recommendation by Parks and Recreation to reappoint Sarah Arena to the Parks and Recreation Commission with a term ending January 13th, 2029.
Again, trustee Joseph,
Support.
make a motion to approve, supported by treasurer Elliott. Director Anderson?
This one is a reappointment. Sarah, again, is in the audience. She has been on our board for several years and is one that does active work for our department. She brings us programs, she works together, she brings her ideas to the table. So we are excited for this reappointment.
Questions from the board?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I just wanted to echo the work that Sarah does. She is, I'm a new liaison to, relatively new to the Parks and Rec Commission. And I think almost every meeting, Sarah brings forward a different idea, a different program, things that she brings from her work outside of the Parks and Rec Commission. She's a wealth of information, very, very positive, and I think is the epitome of what you would want in an advisory board member. She's a real advocate for Parks and Rec programming, and she, as you mentioned, she does the homework. We meet monthly, but it's clear that she spends a lot of time outside of our meetings gathering information and preparing other committee members for a really good understanding of whatever it is that she's bringing forward. So Sarah is everything that's right about our Parks and Rec committee, and I'm very grateful that she's continued a willingness to work on behalf of the residents. So thank you, Sarah.
Any further discussion from the board? Comments from the board? I have a motion by trustee Joseph, supported by treasurer Elliott, to approve item 10D. If you would, please cast your votes. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 6-0. You aren't getting away. Item 10E.
Item 10E is to set a public hearing for January 27th, 2026 at 7 p.m. to hear comments regarding the allocation of the 2026 Community Development Block Grant CDBG funds.
Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to set the public hearing for January 27th, 2026 for the CDBG allocation funds.
Motion by Clerk Berry, supported by Supervisor Kersten. Discussion? Director Anderson?
This item has become somewhat routine in the best way. We have had community development block grant funding for several years now. So this is the first step in it, is that we set the public hearing. Next meeting, if you approve, this public hearing will be held, and all of these nonprofits that are listed in there that have requested money from us will have the opportunity to come in front of the board and request their funding.
And we sent the board members email for input. So if there's any, if there's additional input from elected officials, you're more than welcome to get with us before this, so. Any further discussion or any discussion? A motion by Clerk Berry, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve item 10E. If you would please cast your vote. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 6-0. Item 10F.
Item 10F is to approve a recommendation by the Parks and Recreation Department to authorize Supervisor Kersten to sign an agreement with Civic Rec for recreation software at an initial year fee of $10,608 and an annual recurring services of $7,040, and approve a budget amendment for $3,000 in 2026.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Treasurer Elliott. Supported by Trustee Joseph. Director Anderson.
Sure. This one is coming to you on our journey of recreation software. So 2 years ago, the company that we chose ever since we started going digital was bought out by a larger company. The hope in that buyout was that all of the services that we had would be absorbed by this larger company as they became more proficient in recreation software. It was quite the learning curve for our staff to go to a new software that they've never seen before, for the customers to go to a new software just because it's different in the way that they do it. In our hopes that that learning curve was shortened by us getting used to the system. What in fact happened is that it's not the most proficient system. It does not work the way that we wanted it to. And our ask for the company to include what we liked about the old company never came through. They weren't able to provide that in the new software system. So now we are here. We were able to host several one-on-one interviews with different companies around the state. We have talked with all municipalities that we know throughout the entire state of Michigan that use software system. Everyone uses a different version. In a good way, there are a lot of options, but in a bad way, everyone likes and dislikes a different thing about every single software system based on what they do. So our recommendation in front of you is to approve the Civic Rec software. Civic Rec serves 1,200 departments in total, including park districts across the nation. And then in Michigan, they serve more than 50. The two that you may recognize are St. Clair Shores uses them, as well as Recreation Authority of Roseville and East Point. We've spoken with both of those communities because they are in our more close network, our Macomb County-based network, and they are both happy with their services. They're happy with what it was that we were able to look through from their internal side as well as the customer side to see what everyone is able to do with it, and we were happy with that as well. Other communities that use it are City of Troy, Port Huron, and Rochester Hills. So like I said, among those 50 people in Michigan, our customers might have gone to their sites and recognized the ease of access for customers. For us, on our end, what we were looking for specifically is that our current reporting got updated, internal management was updated, and then that customer online experience while still maintaining the good things about our system, the fact that we can take online credit cards, the fact that the credit card system in person works so well, and that we can do facility rentals very easy online. This company is known for all of that and more. They thrive in the management side of things and making it easy, increasing efficiencies, and also easy to view programs on the website. So currently for DaySmart, we pay $6,000 yearly. After the initial fee, the first year we paid was $3,000. Budgeted in 2026, we knew we wanted some version of a software change to come, and so we had budgeted for $8,000 each year. This startup cost is just a little bit higher, coming in at $10,000 for the first year, but to allow room in our budget, we are asking for an additional budget amendment of $3,000 just to give us a little bit of wiggle room in case there is additional fees when it comes to purchasing the new software system, the credit card kiosk, anything like that. The software system has been reviewed by the Treasurer's Department. Their piece for the daily reconciliation and payment system sounds like it will work for what we need. Also successfully reviewed by the IT department. One feature that Civic Rec has that the other software systems were not able to provide, we have a Civic web site. So we already use the software. So those two softwares will be able to talk to each other. Our event calendar will be able to populate on the Township's website, and so you'll easily be able to see all of the events, programs, happenings that we have instead of manually inputting them and making sure that we take them down in time as we're doing now. So many different communication pieces within this new system we are thrilled to see. It's something that we've been wanting, and it'll make it easier for us to tell our story and share what we have going on so that we can have our residents join us. So for our ask for the Township Board is to approve Civic Rec as the preferred recreation software for the Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services Department. Our implementation plan is for this spring.
Trustee Joseph.
I really do commend you. You've done a great job of looking at all of the various options. For those who are really dialed into programming, one of the problems that we keep hearing about is some of the events that our Parks and Rec program offers are in very, very high demand. Specifically, our bus trips, some of the sort of more popular events tend to fill up very, very quickly. We also, because of the value, we attract a lot of patrons or users from other communities. So it's created a problem. We were actually just talking about it last night. In our senior, there was an event, I think it was Phantom of the Opera. There was a bus trip down to the Phantom of the Opera. There were a limited number of tickets, and they sold out in, I don't know, 23 minutes, I think I remember you saying. So unfortunately, there was no way on the software end of things, as people were, registering, to separate township residents from non-residents. And there, in a lot of our programs, there's a nominal fee, additional fee for non-residents, but separating the fee, just access and availability, there was really no way with the existing software to provide Chesterfield residents with, say, 90% of the bus or whatever the, and so we have no way of knowing. And one of our senior advisory board members made a comment that she was, 24 minutes into the process and unfortunately didn't get to go. Because it's just a small number, I think, 53, 54 tickets available. She knows a number of other individuals who did get in, and unfortunately, some of those are not township residents. So this software enables us to set those markers and open programming to Chesterfield residents first and separate by the registration. That's a feature that was not available, and that's a service add for sure. So thanks again for all the great work and looking at all the different options.
Any further comments? Clerkberry.
Just a quick question. So will this replace the RecPro software?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. RecPro was our original one. We then transitioned to DaySmart. They transitioned their name to Dash by DaySmart, so now this will replace all of those, yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Further questions from the board? We have a motion by Treasurer Elliott, supported by Trustee Joseph, to approve item 10F. If you would please cast your vote. Votes will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 6-0. Item 10G.
Item 10G is to recommend approval to appoint Kevin Hustick as a full-time member of the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term expiring September 1st, 2027, and to appoint Robert Finazzo as an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term expiring April 23rd, 2027.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Joseph, supported by Trustee Hornberger. Mr. Hustick is here. Raise your hand. Been a great partner in the last couple of years, active in the community, as everybody knows. A valuable resource to the Planning Commission, wants to get involved more, so we'll continue to do that. He's been a great asset so far. Discussion from the board? Kevin, you want to raise your hand so everybody knows you? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, or I'm sorry, Trustee Joseph, supported by Trustee Hornberger, to approve item 10G. If you would please cast your vote. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 6-0. Welcome aboard, Kevin, again. Item 10H.
Item 10H is to consider the Planning Commission's recommendation to approve rezoning request number 376 to rezone 1.45 acres of property located on the north side of Jefferson Avenue between Lake Point Avenue and River Point Avenue from C1 Local Commercial to MX1 Jefferson Mixed Use and adopt ordinance number 205, parcel ID number 150927201-002 and parcel ID number 150927201-007, known as addresses 48825 and 48891 Jefferson Avenue.
Is there a motion to approve? Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Hornberger, support. Josh, go ahead. Or Jonathan, go ahead.
Thank you. This item was in front of you, or on the agenda for November, and it ended up being removed, so it's back in front of you tonight. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing back in October to rezone this property. The applicant did indicate that they would be interested in doing a multifamily development here. However, this is the mixed-use district, so any development would have to come back for site plan approval, which could be any one of those uses listed in the mixed-use district. The Planning Commission is recommending approval. The full motion and recommendation is in your packet. However, the applicant, Mr. Mayani, is here tonight. I believe he did want to address the board. He was interested in possibly having this item postponed again, so I'll let him come up and speak to the board.
Good evening. Frank Mayani, Regina Building Company. I'd like to ask the trustees to table this until I have all the information necessary from my engineering company and from the township engineer and the county engineer. If we could table that, I'd feel a little more comfortable going forward.
I'll amend my motion at your request, table it. Do you have a date specific, or how long you need?
Well, I just received some information today from my engineer. I've barely had time to digest it.
You want
So,
a month, Jonathan?
Yeah, minimum. I mean, I can stay in contact with Jonathan, but I'm sure I'll need at least a couple more meetings before I'm comfortable.
January, February, April?
April.
April
Let's say
good?
April. Yeah.
April 7th?
All right. Let's do that.
So I'll amend my motion at the petitioner's request to table this agenda item until April 4th.
Thank you.
14th, April 14th at 7 PM. Trustee Hornberger, will you continue to support that? Any discussion from the board? Thank you, sir. I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Hornberger, to postpone the item 10H until 4/14/26 at 7 PM. If you all would please cast your vote. I'm sorry, you're right. We'll have to take a roll call vote that changes the electronic version. Clerk Barry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye?
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph. Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Thank you. Item 10I.
Item 10I is a recommendation to adopt APO 21-2026, Media and External Communications, and adopt Resolution Number 2026-05, APO 21-2026, Media and External Communications, effective January 14th, 2026.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve this. Is there any support?
Support.
Trustee Joseph. This is in front of you today, and again, this is in draft version. The reason this was created, we are beginning to get substantial media requests, and then the several social media platforms that we have out there that we are entering into kind of demand that coordination and a single flow of information be provided, and then obviously I'd like to control it through my office. So as you know, we have a consultant. I've got most of the administrative staff working for me. The information flows through the supervisor's office, and I'd like literally to, when it becomes public, to at least have the narrative and the tone, what is released to the public, again, open, transparent, and understood, but also coordinated. So that's the impetus of this APO, and it's in front of you tonight for the first time. Obviously, I didn't send it out. I did not consult with legal on this. Mr. Siebert was not aware of this, just because this is kind of a board directive. So With that being said, I'll open it up to discussion and questions. Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, in terms of, requiring a legal opinion, I didn't see anything. Obviously, Mr. Siebert, would not really allow us to enter into things, but, maybe giving him an opportunity to take a look at it. But it really is, an APO, which is, kind of governs our board policy. And some of the highlights of this, really do centralize communication. I think the section regarding websites and social media, I feel like our board does a pretty solid job of, all of us maintain social media in some form or another. And there is opinions, and we have vastly different opinions from time to time. And being able to communicate as a board member my personal feelings on an issue is something that is not compromised in any way by this APO. Simply says that communication from a board member should be exactly that. An individual board member is presenting their opinion, their feelings on a particular issue, whether it be a matter that is before the board or a topical issue that is political in nature. It is not an official communication from the township, and I don't think anyone has really encroached on a violation of that, representing their personal opinion as official township policy. This APO does centralize in a very strong way communication, and it does go through the supervisor's office. Talking with Trustee Anderson about this, he may or may not expound on his thoughts, but one of the criticisms or concerns is that it centralizes things in a disproportionate way, and it runs through the supervisor's office and the supervisor's office only. Having found myself at odds with well, I guess every township supervisor since I've been on the board, I'm not doing cartwheels over the idea of centralizing it, but recognizing that there is a need to have an official township response. It seems logical that the statutorily charged individual on our board, which the supervisor is, who is responsible for day-to-day operations, should have the power to speak in an official capacity. With or without this APO, the supervisor has that authority, in my opinion, already. This just really solidifies it and puts in our policies directives to the remainder of the board meetings. We're going to take up an agenda item that Trustee Hornberger asked to be added tonight, that I think could have been avoided altogether had we had this APO. The sort of rogue nature that comes from mailings that come out of various departments. They're budgeted for communication, but what that communication looks like specifically is problematic for me. I don't like things that look like campaign material that come out every 4 years around the re-election time. We get all kinds of very expensive mailers instructing people on how to vote and proper procedure, and they just so happen to include the picture and resumes of elected officials. Those should not happen. That simply should not happen, and there is no real mechanism to prevent it from happening. I think but for this APO. We'll talk more about it in item J, but the inclusion of what I think is clearly campaign material coming out of another department shouldn't happen. So I'm in favor of this APO, and appreciate it coming forward to address a serious problem. Thank you.
Further comments? Trustee Anderson.
Trustee Joseph, I agree with some of the points you cited here, but again, my remarks here are in no way to be reflective against the sitting supervisor here. However, if you read this APO the way it is written to my fellow board members, you're voluntarily surrendering tremendous power to one individual over 6 other members on this board. In essence, you would allow the current and future boards to be subservient to one individual. We know there have been some interesting supervisors in the past, and I'm sure we'll have some interesting ones in the future. Your passage of this APO, the way it is written, may have a tremendous adverse impact on the checks and balances of the board majority. There are 3 ways to remove an elected official: by defeat, actually 4, defeat, death, at the defeat at the polls, through the recall process, or the state governor under specific circumstances. If you look at section 3, I have an issue with that, of this policy. Any individual becoming aware or having knowledge of a violation of any provision of this policy must notify the supervisor's office immediately for follow-up action. Okay. Violations of this standard of this policy may result in a disciplinary action, including dismissal, as determined by the township supervisor. Any public funds expended to dissemination of the material will be required to be reimbursed, blah, blah, blah. Under section 3, I really question why the board members could be subservient to this degree if a transgression did occur, when there's other mediation to address it. I doubt if that authority is really there. I cannot support this APO as it is currently written. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Anderson. And again, you didn't get an advance copy of it, and our conversation prior to the meeting, and you discuss it. I've got clarity now on my end is that that violation should be reported to the board, have for board discussion, not the supervisors. Again, if you want to propose a draft sentence language change, I'm more than comfortable with it, but I do agree with you. It should be brought back to the board for discussion and let the board decide if there was a violation or if there was, it didn't conform to the heart or the intent of the APO. Clerk Barry?
Thank you. In addition to some of the things that Trustee Anderson outlined, I would like to see if we were going to pass an administrative procedure order like this, that there be an exclusion for elections. I'm actually, the clerk's required by law to provide notice when things occur, and it's not something that would go through the supervisor's office or any other board member or the board or anything like that. There are standalone provisions in the law that require direct notification. In certain circumstances, I provide many notices and publications year-round with regards to elections. So I would also ask that elections be excluded from any future APOs of this nature for that primary reason. Also, maybe just broadening it out to say the areas in which an individual has statutory responsibility, that they are that's their responsibility to speak for. I wouldn't want to speak, for example, I couldn't speak for Treasurer Elliott, for example, when it came to a tax question. I'm contacted many times during an election period for media requests, and the answers are, again, from a clerk's perspective regarding elections or whatever, or to disseminate actual information. So just ask that those changes also be considered.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Mr. Siebert, I'm going to put you on the spot. Is there a language that could be legally adopted for the section 3 that have been addressed or discussed for the exclusion of statutory responsibilities? And I'm asking you off the cuff. So
Yeah,
I get it.
I read it. I didn't weigh in on it, but I read it. You know, these policies like this, and that's what they are, they're policies, that's it. You know, you're elected. There's nothing that a township board can do to an elected official, period. There are no exceptions. I sit on sit with municipal boards. that adopt all sorts of policies that say board members shouldn't do this. They adopt ethics policies, which you adopted, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, and I've weighed in on those and didn't think much of them, still don't, because they're not enforceable. Somebody violates an ethical provision or somebody violates this, you know, you can, some board members say, well, we'll censure that person. You know, you can take the censure and wrap it up and throw it away. It doesn't mean anything. And as Treasurer or Trustee Anderson said, you know, there's very few ways that you can do anything to an elected official. You can recall them, they can lose an election, and even the governor. You can count on one hand on the amount of occasions that a governor can remove somebody, and even then, it's very limited. So when I read this, I got the sense that this is a policy where when you have certain issues that come before the township, that they are to be sent to one focal place, and that supervisor's office would respond to them. If you had some sort of an emergency or, you know, some sort of a public event, that the go-to person would be the supervisor to answer questions and get information out to the public. But as far as censuring board members or disciplining board members, it's not going to happen. You cannot, as Cindy said, you cannot supersede state statute. You can't supersede the Constitution. If a board member wants to go out and make a comment about some political issue, they have the constitutional right to do that, and you can't by a policy supersede that. So I didn't read this as any sort of a intent to hamstring board members into speaking about issues. I read this as an attempt to try to make sure that when you have some event that comes up, whatever it is, a local emergency, that rather than have each department put out information that may be conflicting, that you focus it into one department and you have one uniform voice. So I didn't think that this was that big of a deal, and I wouldn't be concerned at all that this in any way hampers board members from speaking, and it certainly doesn't restrict the clerk's office or the treasurer or anybody else from fulfilling their statutory duties. You couldn't if you wanted to. The board doesn't have that authority.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. And that's all it was just a superficial attempt to create a policy and draft. So, Trustee Joseph.
Just in terms of the statutory, Clerk Berry mentioned it, Attorney Siebert basically affirmed and acknowledged that there are, obligations regarding clerk responsibilities, treasurer responsibilities, so forth. But I don't know, and I really personally, I don't like, and I doubt that there are any mandates or statutory requirements to send out correspondence at election time inclusive of board member pictures. I don't think a voter guide with the clerk's picture and credentials, nominated for clerk of the year or whatever, I don't think that belongs on our state mandated correspondence. And so attempting to get a hold on that through this APO is something that I strongly support, and also the ability to speak with one voice, one official voice, is the other. So I do understand the objections. I appreciate the attempt to put a policy together, and I do like, even though that there aren't really the teeth to do anything in the way of a dismissal or a censure or any of that, I like the modification to Section 3, the part that Trustee Anderson pointed out, having that come to the supervisor's office, maybe an amendment to include that the provision must notify the board, might be an amendment that perhaps addresses those concerns, and I would ask the supervisor to consider that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this was dropped on you in the agenda packet, obviously for discussion. I am more than willing to amend this and refer it to the legal counsel and have him do his magic and wordsmithing for the exceptions and exemptions, along with any changes that he would recommend. Trustee Anderson?
Thank you. Getting over my annual cold here, excuse me, while I choke. we might have an opening here if I keel over. All right,
Don't do that.
I'm in total agreement with Trustee Joseph, what he said here, you know, and when the literature goes, that's Chesterfield Township literature is going out there, it should be politically neutral, you know, nothing more than that. That is, I'd like to see some policy come forward addressing what you've talked about and some of the points we've hit there. And again, the supervisor is, my feeling is the spokesman for the township. He or she or her delegate, when issues happen, that's the person. We shouldn't be spouting off unless he says, hey, you handled it today. They know they got their finger on the pulse of what's going on. I'll let it go right there.
So I'll amend my motion to table this with referring it to the attorney for draft amendment. Would a date of February 10th board meeting be acceptable? Clerk, is that okay? February 10th meeting? So I will amend my motion to table this agenda item until February 10th, 2026, and after suggestion and review by legal counsel to present back to the board for discussion and potential approval. Trustee Joseph, is that good?
Great.
Any further discussion from the board? Again, this is an alteration in our electronic voting system, so Clerk Berry, would you please call the roll? Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to table item 10I until February 10th, 2026, and refer the matter to legal counsel for review and suggestions.
Continued support.
Thank you, Trustee Joseph. Clerk Berry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Treasurer Elliott. Clerk Berry, aye.
And the add-on next item, 10J, discussion of reimbursement of funds spent for a political mailer that was mailed out with a water bill. Yeah, clerk, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to have Treasurer Elliott reimburse the township for $836.80 in taxpayer dollars that were spent under her direction to include a political flyer in the winter 2025 tax bills that were sent out. Specifically looking at Public Act 269 of 2015, which is campaign finance, and Section 67. Section 67 is not intended to squash the constitutional rights of free speech by public officials or public bodies, but rather to ensure that public resources are not used to influence elections. So when the flyer was included in our taxes, it is my belief that if the bottom section had been left off, that cited a vote that refers to the vote on the administrative fee, that this wouldn't not have been a political mailer, but when you include the vote on there, I believe it became a political mailer. And under looking at just Michigan Municipal League, one of the questions in clarification, can a public official insert flyers with an established mailing such as a tax bill? And the answer is no. A public body must not use any public resources paid with public funds to influence voters. Providing factual information that does not contain words or express advocacy does not violate MCFA. However, it is not recommended as it may result in a complaint. While the mailing may not result in any additional cost in postage or envelopes, this is not relevant and does not mitigate the violation. The entire cost of the mailing and any staff time or other resources used to stuff and handle the mailing is considered a misuse of the resources.
Trustee Joseph.
Sorry. I would support the motion. I think Trustee Hornberger went into the rationale for her motion. But as I understood the motion, it is a request to have the treasurer reimburse the township for a specific dollar amount of $800. Could you, I understand, but just for clarity on the eventual vote, could you restate the motion just as the
The motion is to have Treasurer Elliott reimburse the township for $836.80 for reimbursement of the taxpayer dollars that were spent under her direction to include a political flyer in the 2025 winter tax bills.
support?
Motion by trustee Hornberger, supported by trustee Joseph. Discussion from board. Discussion from board.
So the administrative fee was included, and it's a new fee on the tax bills. Taxpayers deserve an explanation, providing clear, factual information so that the public understands what the board has approved and prevents misunderstanding. The notice did not advocate for or against anything. The notice cited MCL 211. It described the factual and neutral things such as the explanation of what the administrative fee is. It explained the MCL. It included the minutes. This is to help the staff here when people come and ask, what is this new fee? Everything is there in front of the residents and in front of the staff to explain what that fee is and where it came from and how it got there. It did not reference any elections. It did not advocate for any sort of election, voting yes or no. It did not promote or oppose any candidates. It did not urge the public support or had any sort of effect on anything that was to go forward. This motion says that this is a political flyer. It's a notice. Notices have been included with the treasurer's tax payments. This notice also included information for explanation on who to contact and what basis to contact for priority waste complaints. We've included things such as ways to get help on water bills and also information on getting in these newsletters. We've included them for several years with the new structure of the tax bill. It is meant to provide a clear understanding and for if there is any questions to be able to make it so that the correct people would be able to answer them. It is not my business to say why one of my colleagues votes one way or another. That is up to them, and this is to just reduce confusion. It is not a political flyer because it doesn't include the things that, as I spoke, it doesn't include, it's completely neutral and information purposes only.
Mr. Supervisor?
Trustee Joseph.
Again, I'm not sure when individual department heads decide that they are responsible for explaining the reason for the administrative fee. So in her dissertation in response to trustee Hornberger's motion, she clearly states it was an attempt to explain who charged the treasurer with the information regarding what the residents need to be explained of. Because you seem to have an interest in explaining this particular issue in votes that you were in favor of an increase, whether it be a water rate or other things that incurred expense for the residents. Did you feel a need to share with the resident how you voted, including minutes where you voted? So you clearly are picking and choosing what you decide needs to be included to help voters or to help residents clear up confusion. It was, I think, exactly the statute that Trustee Hornberger read, citing that it was fact, does not absolve the entirety of it was unnecessary. You put it in there for a specific reason, and the difficulty with just putting the minutes, which the clerk includes, she doesn't include in the minutes all of the debate that went on, regarding a particular agenda item. There were strong opinions on that particular agenda item. You had an opportunity, I had an opportunity, and the inclusion of the minutes only really reflect how individuals voted. I know when I started getting calls and emails, and the supervisor responded to one of them that was addressed to those of us that had voted for the administrative fee. The individual was very upset, indicated that we had included an administrative fee of 8%, and that he was done with us, and it was just a very difficult vote. We had a lot of discussion about it, to then turn around, and on the first opportunity you have, you take a hack at those who voted for it. It was unfair, it was unprecedented, certainly uncalled for, and to pretend that you were simply providing information is disingenuous and cowardly, because if that were the case and you were a steward of information that you wanted to clarify, I think you would have a history of including things in the tax bill that you voted for that increased the residents' financial obligation to the township. You didn't do that historically, you did it here, and it was a shot. And I think it's appropriate, if you want a campaign from your office, you pay for it. And whether or not the board votes tonight to affirm your obligation to repay that money, I think a campaign finance violation report is in order, and I don't know if Trustee Hornberger and I will need to flip a coin as to who files that, but she certainly raises a very good point, and the statute is very clear. This was politically motivated, and falling back on it was neutral, it was just fact. I just included some things that the minutes are already posted. Those are already available. To include in the tax bill was exactly what you intended to do. And, I think by rights, you did it, pay for it. That's all. And that's what this agenda item does. Thank you.
Further comments from the board? Treasurer Elliott.
The administrative fee is on the tax bill already. So whether you explain what the administrative fee is or not, you're going to get the same reaction to people. They are going to open up their tax bills. So that is not a political flyer. The tax bill is what it is. There's nothing else that the township board votes on that would be a line item that was voted on by the township board that people would be asking specifically, where did that come from? So you have, let's say you have a millage come through. The individuals, the residents, voted on that millage. They understand that where that came from because they had an opportunity to vote yes or no on that. When you are sending out a water and sewer bill next month with increases and a new structure, that's also going to have a notice in it of explanation. Those are the questions that people are asking. They're saying, what happened? What is this? And to have them calling the treasurer's office and saying, where did it come from, who voted for it, what does it mean? And you have all of those things. They're calling the treasurer's office or calling me specifically, and I have received some of those calls. And I simply do the same thing that the information is, this is MCL 211, this is what the language is, this is what it is, this is the explanation. I have not given an opinion about it one way or another, other than at the board meeting that we had that discussion originally. If I may ask, for the attorney to talk about legally what this means, are you able, because I know you haven't been able to review it either.
Mr. Seaver?
Well, I haven't reviewed anything, A, because I didn't know it was going to be on the agenda, and B, I haven't seen the flyer anyway. This is more of a political issue than a legal one. The question of whether or not you include minutes in a tax bill is clearly a political question. Whether or not it violates campaign finance rules, as Trustee Joseph said, there's a forum to file complaints regarding that. The legal impact of this, if there's a majority vote to require the treasurer to pay the money back, this isn't a judicial forum. This isn't a judgment of a court. You'll have a decision whether to pay it or not. If you pay it, fine. If you don't pay it, it would be interesting to see what the mechanism would be to collect it. Again, this is not a courtroom. This is not a decision of a court. The court, if the board orders you to pay it and you don't pay it, see what the board's recourse is. It's limited, likely if non-existent. But again, it's what I said on the other item. Sometimes it's censure, things like that. Legislative bodies and political bodies make statements and they want to make a point. And if there's a majority of the board that thinks that was not a fair shot and it shouldn't have been in there, you got a majority of the board saying don't do that anymore. And whether or not they could collect it is very questionable. But again, there's other forums. You can file claims with the state as to whether or not you violated some statute or not. I'm not an expert on it, and I wouldn't weigh in on it anyway. But the board can certainly vote on it. But whether you're obligated to pay it or not, there's a legal question about that. I mean, when I say legal question, I mean the board cannot. There's no mechanism to make you pay it. All right. But it's in the record. It's in the public record. So do what you want with it.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Anderson.
These are hot issues that were addressed on your water bill as far as the fees that'll be coming, and I'm sure as more of our residents, our stakeholders get their bills, there may be a groundswell of interest as to why. I believe my feeling, I just think it's inappropriate to use township material or mailings, whatever, tax bills to explain situations. I know public's going to be calling in here. And I believe I had a talk with the treasurer. Perhaps it's time to tell our workers here that take a lot of grief from our public that they shouldn't have to. That perhaps they need to refer these type of questions to their representative. I believe this was inappropriate. Again, my opinion. I am a little questionable about the monetary amount right now. So I'm in agreement with the motion about the inappropriateness of it, but I don't feel comfortable with the $800+ assessment, whether it's collectible or not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions from the board? Trustee Arnberg.
It may not be collectible, but it was $836.80.
Thank you. Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, not to beat this to death, but I wanted to explain, there are a number of ways to do that. Residents, even non-monetary issues, rezoning, an SAD, referring a resident who calls to a particular board meeting. All of our board meetings are recorded. You could watch and see. if the administrative fee, if there was any explanation, I've been on the receiving end of a lot of things that I didn't vote for, only to see the individuals sort of charged with educating the public, that being media, The Voice, the Macomb Daily, and typically by board action. By board action, there was an administrative fee. What you do when you receive calls and you want to clarify to somebody who's upset about an increased fee, and you say, well, you can talk to Trustee Hornberger, Joseph, and these individuals voted yes. That's a political statement. It's also factually based in the minutes, but this idea of informing and the way that you inform is disingenuous. There are board actions that take place. Most of our board actions have at least one dissenting vote, and the reflection of the minutes clarify exactly who voted for what. If you want further information, you can watch the meeting, but to include it in the bill, again, and I'm not going to say it over, you'll rebut with it wasn't, I'll say it was, but it was unprecedented, inappropriate, doesn't belong there. And if you want to play political games with the tax bill, pay the things that are associated with sending out a mailer. I think I don't know exactly how you arrived at the $800 and some dollars, but it certainly could be much more than that, just by the households that are attached to this. So again, I think you want to play political games, pay for your political nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Trustee Weber?
I can't say, I wouldn't have an issue with this. I've lived here almost 30 years, and I've never seen something come in the mail like this with a vote attached to it. It's political.
I'm going to weigh in. As has already been stated, this was unprecedented, never been done before, attached to a tax bill, post-budget, for several political motivated reasons. Absolutely uncalled for, should have never happened. And I let my feelings be known to the treasurer when I discovered it. Just unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary. Any further comments from the board? I have a motion by Trustee Hornberger, supported by Trustee Joseph, to seek restitution for, I think it was $836.80 from the treasurer for suspect mailing that was attached to a tax bill. Any further discussion? Trustee Anderson.
I just know what mechanism is anticipated to try to recoup these funds.
I guess we'll see. I guess we would follow that up if she doesn't pay. And again, I'd probably bring it back on the board and ask the board what their pleasure is, as the attorney indicated. Trustee Joseph?
I would offer, just to resolve that, and I would support an amendment to your motion or an inclusion in your motion, that the board's request is for repayment. I don't care if she doesn't repay it, okay. But I would like to have a record of the board taking action to clearly state that if you're going to include political nonsense, that you're responsible. What she does with it, and I don't know if there's a mechanism other than what's already been stated, but I don't know if you have any creative language there to include, but I really don't care if she pays it or not. She should, and if she doesn't, that's just a further blemish. But I don't know that the board should take any additional action. And if you had something in your motion to address that, I would continue support.
I honestly don't have anything in the motion to, you can't force someone to pay something. It's a request.
Perhaps just stating the motion as a request.
So I have a motion by trustee Hornberger, supported by trustee Joseph, to request the repayment of $836.80 from Treasurer Elliott in relation to a campaign, an alleged campaign document that was attached to the tax bills. Clear? Clear? Clerk Berry, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Hornberger. Yes. Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott. No. Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, no.
Item 12, public comments. This is the public comment section. The mic is open. You have 3 minutes. If you would, please state your name for the record, not required, just helps us keep track. Mic is open. Bob, if you want to hit the red button there in front of you.
There, can you hear me now? I have not seen anything since I've sat on this board almost 20 years ago. And nothing's changed, ladies and gentlemen. We are still pointing fingers. We are still nitpicking things that don't need to be picked. No one's listening to the attorney, and we had that same problem when I was on the board. However, on that point in time, we had respect for the township supervisor, Jim Ellis, who's deceased, and we always took things to him. Whether it was right or wrong, we always took it to him first and then said what we were going to do. In my instance, I went to him. If it didn't work, I went to the attorney. And that's how things work. You have respect for each other. You all take an oath of office. We all have taken the oath of office. And that oath of office holds you to a certain criteria in which you sit for the 4 years you're here representing the township. And the political stream is unbelievable. It's too much. But I got to get on to my stuff because that's more important. Just recently moved back into the township, into a lot of you Riverside. And this whole big thing is the amendments, the changes, everything that has never been done because it's gone through many, many builders and many, many issues. And this is what we want to get down to. Look at the difference. We are asking, and my board members are here on the association, to hold the bond on Clearview Homes. That he is to go in and complete what he did and bought when they bought the property and complete it for all of us and get it done right before he moves out and he disappears, as they all like to do, and you all know that. They like to come in, cause confusion in the community, back and forth. We've had at least 4 builders in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, telling everybody, and now everybody's fighting against each other because they can't get this down to that small piece of package that I showed you. And it's very simple. It's not a hard concept. But I guess I would respectfully request you guys to stop his bond and tell him he's got a lot to do before he gets it back. Don't know what it is, didn't look at it, but all of us would request that you, when he comes, because he only got 1 unit left out of 93, and he'll want his money back. So that's kind of a thing. With the other stuff, now I'm done. I'm glad to be back, but then when I have to listen to all this, I don't think I'm really glad to be back. Nothing's changed. Pointing fingers, talking this, doing that, taking money. You know, if you do things wrong, you do it wrong. And the supervisor will come down and tell you. I mean, our supervisor didn't have a period to say, you're not doing that. It's wrong. However, I don't like when I start seeing the little king word coming up above Chesterfield Township. It's not a kingdom. It's a democracy, and it's going to remain one. Thank you.
Hi, is this on? Do I have to sign this board meeting thing? Oh, well, it's okay. Yeah. Hi, my name's Kathleen Kanan. I'm a member of the Beautification Committee for Chesterfield Township. This is my first appearance at this township board meeting, so you might find what I'd like to say to be a little bit unusual. I am a new mother to a 5-month-old son. I work as a paralegal and I'm an aspiring attorney. Like I said, I am part of the beautification committee. My hope is to have a bigger impact in my community now and in the future, hopefully. Since our meeting last Thursday, there's been a subject weighing on my mind, so I wanted to come and speak to it here publicly to the people of Chesterfield. I'd like to make an apology to the people of Chesterfield that we, the beautification committee, did not fully utilize our budget last year. We had a budget of $2,500. We were unable to make most of the meetings, the whole group, and so most of that money went unutilized. Now this coming year, we only have $1,000 to utilize for the community, and that's less than half, which in my opinion is a failure on our part. Last year, my committee was successful in many ways. We created the Beautification Awards. We created the Chesterfield Rock Scavenger Hunt and Rock Painting event at Brandenburg Park, which was very successful. And we had our first efforts towards creating a community garden for Chesterfield. But because most of our members were unable to attend many of the meetings, other things were not able to be accomplished. And we were not able to utilize the full funds allocated to our committee to make Chesterfield a more beautiful place. Like I stated, this year our budget has more than halved, greatly reducing our ability to do bigger things this coming year. We've added 2 new members in an effort to avoid that in the future, yet because of that, I'd like to once again formally apologize to the citizens of Chesterfield. I think it's important for public servants to set a precedent of humility and admitting when things did not go as planned. I hope this will inspire others to lead with the public in mind and not with individual egos, which is the cornerstone of a strong leadership and a strong community. While I am regretful the committee was unable to accomplish what we wanted,
Thank you, ma'am. Yep. Kathleen, can I connect you with Dr. Vanison in the back there and kind of have her get your contact information real quick? Thank you. Mic is open.
On behalf of Lattview Riverside Woods, I'm the Vice President of the Association, Raul Fernandez. Just to second what Rob said, many builders have come and gone since 2002. The last one is Clearview Homes, and they are about to leave our community incomplete of irrigation, completion of an entrance, and I believe Clearview needs to be held accountable to complete the work that they started. They bought like 20 lots, and they are saying that they're absolvent of completing the work. Irrigation at Hooker and Manistee is not complete, and I believe they need to complete it. And our president is not here today, but she asked me to say these words for her. And her name is Rosalie Ilwick, and I am the vice president of Lattview Riverside. Thank you for your time and hearing these comments.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Robert Smith. I've lived in Chesterfield Township since October of 1969. I moved out here. I left here. I built a home here, Chesterfield Township. I left. I came back to Chesterfield Township. I built another home in Chesterfield Township with a builder. I built 4 more houses outside of this county and in another county. I have never, and I say never, met a builder that has the disrespect that Clearview has for building homes and treating their people that have spent hundreds of thousands. I spent almost $1 million with the man. He's dishonest. He's rude. He does poor workmanship. He will not honor his warranties the way they're supposed to be. I filled out a warranty form based on what they asked me to do after 11 months. It's terrible. They looked at 3 pages. I hired an attorney and spent $11,600 to try and get him to come back to fix my home. And now that he's done, he's going to run on this association. These people are trying to get him to fix what he's responsible to fix. He hasn't fixed my house in 19 months. That's terrible. And I suggest that you not give him his money, as I did, unfortunately. And he has said his company has said several things and hid several things from the homeowners in that association. And I spent $7,000 on taxes for one of my places, and my daughter lives next door, and I spent $7,000 more in taxes. And I can't get diddly done. I've even come to the Chesterfield Township. I've talked to several different departments. They've tried to cooperate with me. They tried to get Clearview to do it. He's not doing it. And I'll be more than glad to put my name, address down if you want to see that. I am so upset. I had a quadruple bypass surgery because of this bullshit going on. And I don't mean to swear, but I did.
We all slip every now and then.
And that was a slip. It truly was. You need the address too on here?
If you would. If you would, yes. Any further comments from the public? Any further comments from the public? We'll bring it back.
John Speaker, Chesterfield Township. I've always said people that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. What's inappropriate to me is a PR firm that the residents pay for to represent the supervisor. We also have a media firm on Facebook that we pay for the supervisor. We're paying over $90,000 a year for a booklet to be mailed to the residents. And if that's not grandstanding, I don't know what is. What a political statement is, when you say a political statement, Trustee Joseph, let me give you an example. You go to township special events, you put up a big tent and you give away free ice with some flavoring in it. If that's not grandstanding, I don't know what is, because most of the events that I see you at are township-run events. You're the only one that I see. If you were there without a tent that said Trustee Joseph and, you know, with your shirt on, then I could, you know, I wouldn't take it as political grandstanding. But the thing that bothers me the most is we had a vendor that was scheduled to be at the car show event that was Kona Ice, that was given out, or not given out, charging residents for the same thing that you were giving out for free. If we have a vendor pay to come to an event like that, I don't understand why you would want to show up to an event like that and try to undercut a vendor that paid to be at that event. I don't understand that. That's mind-boggling to me. And what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing two individuals, and that's you, Trustee Joseph, and Supervisor Kersten, picking on Kathy Elliott and picking on Cindy Berry. Enough's enough. So, you guys are not innocent. You're far from innocent. So, leave Kathy Elliott alone and quit picking on Cindy Berry because they don't agree. And one thing that you should remember, Trustee Joseph, is Josh Baker. So, I think you forgot what happened to Officer Baker. So, I think you might want to reflect on that. And another thing that we need to work on is I had an incident with the water bill. I went to the bank to pay my water bill, and it did not scan the numbers at the bottom. So I received a letter from the township that I was delinquent. So I need that corrected. And
Christina Ross. I have to politely disagree, Mr. Speaker. I don't know all the personal attacks going on, but I do have to say, David Joseph, I really do appreciate all of the functions that you're at. It's not just snow cones that he does. He's at the fire department events. He's at the police department events. He engages with my kids. I don't, again, know all the personal attacks and all that stuff, but sitting here just 1 week you attack one person, another week you attack another person. It's just getting mind-boggling at this point, and I'm tired of people that do actually treat people good. I mean, I know you don't have a very good relationship with him, but it's one thing 1 week and one thing another. I'm so tired of it. So I just wanted to say I appreciate the work that you do and the functions that you are at, because I don't see a lot of the board members at functions, so I do appreciate the ones you're actually at. So, thanks.
We talking about snow cones?
Good evening, James Locke, 32830 Sutton Road, Chesterfield Township. Sour apples, that's all I'm going to say, sour apples. A little bit more important in openness and clarity. With this new water bill coming up, there's going to be a lot of people not understanding it. A lot of talk about increased water rates from the Great Lakes Water Authority again this summer and again next year and all that. With all this coming about, and with the water department running about a $20 million part of the budget every year now, it looks like, I think you ought to initiate, this board ought to initiate an advisory committee or a water board committee or something of citizens to oversee the water department and the finances. Because of problems we've had in the past with finances of the water department. $35, $40 million a year budget it's going to have. I think that there should be some citizens to be able to have a voice in it and be able to get back to the people and that of what's going on and be able to explain to them why it's going on. This board's had a hard time trying to explain to people why their water bill is going to be what it is. You've had experts come up here and give their great speeches about it and that, but nobody really broke it down to dollars per the rate, what it is. You know, there's a lot of people who will not understand this water bill. Something needs to be done about it. Create a committee. You guys are great at adding committees to this township. We've got more committees now than we had 3 years ago. Put one more on. Get a citizens advisory committee going for the water board so they can explain to people, because it's going to be for the next few years. This isn't a one and done thing. It's going to continue. I don't know how you would do it, but I'm asking something be done. Thank you.
Any further comments from the public?
It's my first time at this podium, so good evening, board. I just wanted to thank you for your giving me the opportunity to continue on the zoning board as a full-time member. It was a little bit about 6 months ago, I was before you and got appointed as an alternate member. And I've had the opportunity to learn quite a bit just reading. My elbow partner, Trustee Hornberger, has kind of helped me navigate through. Mr. Siebert, we had some conversations. I got thrown right into a good meeting right after being appointed, and I do appreciate the confidence that you've shown in me, and I want to continue to serve my fellow residents. So, and thank you to Mr. DeMaster, Mr. Palin, Ms. Chamberlain for always helping me whenever I got questions, and of course, Ms. Garvey for always taking my calls if I have questions. So that's all. I just wanted to thank you for that. And then I didn't realize that some of my neighbors were going to be here. I'm the president of Lottie View Meadows, which is the neighborhood next door. So I don't actually know what challenges or what options, if any, this board has or any of our township staff. But if there is anything you can do with helping them with that bond, I got brought into the Lottie View Meadows board after our builder kind of bailed out, and it's taken me over 2 years to kind of get things straightened and cleaned up. So they had already moved out, so we didn't have an opportunity to even inquire if there was anything. I don't know that you can even do anything, but if so, I'd appreciate it. Just a neighbor helping a neighbor. So thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
This looks nice, too.
Yeah. Any further comments from the public? Any further comments from the public? Bring it back up here to board comments. Trustee Ornberger, start with you tonight.
Yes. I could, Mr. Locke, I can tell you that Mr. Anderson and I think we were on a team that sat in on a couple different water, when we were doing the water rates. So it was a long and arduous process to get to finally get to a vote on that. And there were several things that we did push back on. And I want to let you know that Great Lakes Water Authority has already started meetings. I've been involved in 2 of them. I have one this Thursday and one next week to increase the rates for 2027. So they're already starting, and when you sit through the meetings, you realize that we really don't have a choice as far as, you know, a pass-through cost when Great Lakes Water raises the rates on the township. So, but I want to let you know, there was a lot of studying, and it was a very long process to even get to the point of voting on raising the rates for all of us for this year, but it's coming for next year already. In fact, my first meeting for raising the rates for 2027 was last November. So they have no qualms about just expecting more money from residents, unfortunately.
Hey, Trustee Anderson?
Yeah, a couple of our speakers mentioned horror stories regarding their dwellings. I could sit with them in the back and probably talk an hour about the nightmares I've had with Chesterfield historically. I must say, though, I believe that our township is head and shoulders compared to was at years ago. And I want to talk about money spent, your kids' inheritance. I'm doing it right now, something that happened back in the 80s, but that's academic. Mr. Huskin, Mr. Finazzo, I get the right name, Ms. Chapman. Welcome to all of you on these boards. Mr. Huskin, I heard you speak. I believe that the three of you will bring positive karma to our township. You know, it's kind of easy to sit and be negative. It happens, but it's kind of good to see some positive people out there. Thank you, and everyone have a good new year.
Trustee Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just first, the Lottie View Riverside Association, Mr. Smith, I wasn't aware of the problems that you brought to the board's attention with Clearview. I was fairly familiar, Mr. Garvin. I wasn't sure where you were headed when you came to the podium. Trustee Anderson and I, we've been involved with township politics, whether we were board members or committee members. I do remember you on this board. Those were turbulent times. Those were not, unicorns and rainbows by any means. So I think we got work to do, obviously, but I think we've come a long way. I will pay a little closer attention and speak with township officials regarding Clearview. I really, it sounds horrible what's going on over there, and anything that the township can do to make sure that we have reputable builders, we're going to do, because we just hate to hear those kinds of stories, and obviously there were a number of you who are impacted. This wasn't an isolated incident, so we'll definitely get on that. Ms. Kanan, I think that was your name, Ms. Kanan. Don't take it on as a failure. The money that was allocated to the Beautification Commission didn't just disappear. It just was returned to the taxpayers. So taxpayer money that wasn't spent is still taxpayer money. You're admirable in your assertion that you were charged with this, but you didn't misallocate it. You just simply didn't allocate it, and it's still there. So as your committee develops projects, and should you find a worthwhile project, I think the supervisor was right to direct you to Ms. Vanderson, because we can make a budget amendment and reallocate those monies to worthwhile projects. So you didn't do anything in the way of a failure at all, but your comments were admirable, and I appreciate you being on that committee. Appreciate you, Ms. Ross. The confusion that you have on the vacillation from attack to attack and all of that, if you're paying attention, and I know that you don't pay much attention to worthless things like political gamesmanship, but just for those at home keeping score, he's moved away from calling her bipolar and all the other filthy things that he's done over the years, because he finds himself supported in a fledgling recall effort. So there's a little commune of individuals that are working to support him in that endeavor. I think he's shooting for another campaign midstream, and so they play a role in helping him with that. So now he is the bodyguard. The issue with the snow cones, I just want to be clear, you will never get another one from me, so you're off the list. You're up. Nope, silence. You're off the list. No snow cones. Mr. Locke, I heard you loud and clear. You want a sour apple flavor. I will put the committee together, and we'll get you a sour apple snow cone per your request. When I show up at township events, there's a reason that you don't see other township officials investing in the ridiculous, over-the-top way that I go about it, because it's not politically expedient. It's politically dumb. If that's where you're spending your political money, you're making a mistake. Giving out free snow cones in a lot of instances to people that can't vote for you or don't vote for you or live in another community is not politically sharp. That's not the reason that I do it. The reason that I do it is because I get an opportunity to meet people like Miss Ross and her family. And if you ever experience this idea of if you want to please everyone, you don't go into politics, sell ice cream, right? So I do both. I get the ability to please everyone except people like you by giving away snow cones. I've given away thousands and thousands of dollars in the past 20 years. Before I was an elected official, I took my snow cone machine to my kids' open house. You go to an elementary school and you load up your truck with about 200 pounds of ice and few bags of simple syrup, whatever, and you see smiles all day. It restores my relationship with the things that I endure, well, from people like you, and it renews me, and it gives me a chance to see people in a way that I don't often get to. So I dedicate and donate my time, my supplies. I got a storage shed that I have to lug all this stuff. If you've ever seen my operation, you know it's an all-day event for me. It's not politically smart. Nobody in any political circle will say, hey, if you want to get more votes, spend your entire weekend giving away free snow cones. The event that you mentioned with the Kona Ice people, I did get a call from the director of Kona Ice. They were very upset. They did pay to be a vendor at that event. That was not a township event. That was a chamber event. That was a private event on private property. I went through the chamber, donated my time, and was granted space at their event. The Kona Ice people called me and they said, listen, we typically do thousands of dollars in a weekend and we made about $2 and we couldn't figure out why. And then we saw people going by with your snow cones. Simply put, I don't know that all families that go to that event with 6 or 8 kids can afford $6 or $8 a pop that the Kona Ice people were. I wasn't there to undercut them. I just knew that it was an opportunity to engage with residents, and I took it. And I did listen to the Kona Ice people who donate a lot of money back to the community, and I assured them that I would be mindful of events that they were at, and I wouldn't undercut. I don't want to undercut a business, but it wasn't a township event. The township didn't lose snow cone money because I was giving it for free. But I appreciate your advocacy for the Kona Ice people. It seems to align with you politically. Not to belabor this, but I do recall a number of township events. It's typically only around election time where I see you at some of these events. My T-shirts and my tent just say Chesterfield Township Trustee. They don't say vote for. They don't say anything. That would be campaigning. Your T-shirts, if they say vote for John Spica, and you're mucking around without anything, that's campaigning. That's, if you're wondering the difference, just look in the mirror, then take a look at what I do. They're two totally different things. No grandstanding, no anything associated with the motion that Trustee Hornberger made tonight. They're completely separate, despite the attempt to crowbar the advocacy that we get in Lansing and the media company. Those are board actions. Those are approved by the board. They are not individual PR campaigns. Last thing I wanted to close with is something that I mentioned at the end of our 2025. Our last board meeting in December, I talked a little bit about the concerns that I had about the data centers that are popping up around the state, and in particular, most recently in our neighbors in Washington Township. I mentioned in December that I would like the supervisor to work with you our planning director and committees to undertake a deeper dive on the impact a potential data center would have in Chesterfield Township. Hours and hours and hours of data to go over to really understand what's going on with data centers. By the time we're done forming a committee, we could be very easily looking at an application from a data center. I'm going to shift gears on this, and what I intend to do at the January 27th meeting is I would like to bring an agenda item forward requesting a 12-month moratorium on data centers while we engage in this process. And I will mirror the proposed agenda item after the city of Northville, who just recently passed a moratorium on data centers. They cited in their deliberations a belief that current, got your attention, Mr. Siebert?
Yeah, I got to say something when you're done.
Okay. The city of Northville cited in their passage of the 12-month moratorium on data center applications a belief that their current zoning ordinances do not specifically address data centers, that they would like a full evaluation of the energy and water usage associated with data centers. They were concerned about zoning gaps and the noticeable absence of anything involving a quote-unquote data center from appearing in their ordinance. Again, I don't have the ordinance for consideration tonight. It's, as I said, something that I plan to bring forward on the 27th. I will consult with you in a more meaningful way, but I am curious to know if you have an opinion on this. When the recreational cannabis was passed by the voters, and our position as a township was to simply say, we're not prepared to entertain cannabis dispensaries and retail, and before we engage in a consideration of applications, we would like to know more about the impacts, and we passed an opt-out. We in essence had a no consideration of cannabis-related licenses. Again, I'll defer to the attorney and I'll have more discussion with them. But I really am concerned about a number of areas within our township that strike me as potential sites. I've just candidly put, I've been in contact with landowners who have been approached, and I don't know what level of discussion they're at. But before we find ourselves inadequately trying to address what a data center looks like in Chesterfield, I think we should have a very serious review of our existing ordinances. And again, if possible, and unless I'm red-lighted, I would like to bring to the board for consideration at the next board meeting a request for a 12-month moratorium on any data center applications for the board's consideration. Thank you.
I'm going to chime in real quick, and I'm going to let the attorney speak. We are monitoring this. We are aware of it. This is something on our radar. The individuals that we are speaking with at the legislative levels, right now Chesterfield Township is not in the target area, but your concerns are noted. I'll defer to Bob, again, in communicating. I think he's becoming the expert in Macomb County representing a neighboring community. So, Bob, I'll defer to you.
Yeah, as you know, Dave, I don't weigh in ever on board comments, never have. This would be a first, but you know, I'm here so that if I see the board potentially taking action that may put us in a bad legal spot, this is the time I've got to weigh in on it. I am very familiar with the law regarding moratoriums. I've been doing zoning work for 40 years. I'm not going to go into a long discussion about moratorium. They are, under very limited circumstances, legal. But because it would be a zoning ordinance amendment, it cannot start here. There's a decision out of the United States District Court by Judge Ludington in the last 5 or 6 years that I'm very familiar with. And the very question came before Judge Ludington on whether or not a township that wanted to impose a moratorium, I think it was on wind turbines, they did it by resolution, and then the issue was whether or not they had the legal authority to do it. And the lawsuit was filed, and it got before Judge Ludington, and it was a perfectly written opinion, not because it mirrored exactly the one I was writing, but because it weighed in on exactly what the analysis is. A data center is a land use, and therefore you have two sets of ordinances. You have a regulatory ordinance and you have a land use ordinance, and land use ordinances require public hearings before the Planning Commission with recommendations to the Township Board. And if there were to be a moratorium on a data center, it would require an amendment of your zoning ordinance. That doesn't start here. It starts with the Planning Commission. You could certainly direct the Planning Commission to take a look at data centers and to see whether or not our current ordinance adequately addresses their location and how they would be treated. But that would require a public hearing by the Planning Commission, and then once the Planning Commission weighs in on it, they would make a recommendation to the board, and then it would come back to this body for a decision as to whether or not you ought to put a stopgap on data centers for a very brief period of time. The U.S. Supreme Court, in a case called, which I'm not going to forget, I wrote an article on it actually, and now I'm forgetting the name of it, but it was out of California. It dealt with development in the dunes areas in California where the state had put a stopgap on development on the beaches because it was affecting the dunes, and they put a 3-year moratorium on it. It went to the U.S. Supreme Court. It's a little bit different here. It dealt with the issue of whether or not that amounted to a regulatory taking and whether they had to pay the landowner for their inability to develop their land. The case is important because it said that land use moratoria under certain circumstances are legal, but they have to be for a short period of time. You have to have a plan in place to address the concerns that you have about those centers. You have to make specific findings of fact as to why the land use that you are putting a moratorium on is different than any other land use. And there are arguments to be made on both sides of data centers that if you drove by a data center and you drove by an Amazon building, from the outside, you couldn't tell the difference. And I've read all the articles on them, and I've read all the analyses, at least the limited amount that there are, as to what the difference is between a data center and any other land use. They usually have less traffic. There are concerns about water. There are concerns about electricity, but they often have less parking, less employees, less traffic congestion. Those are the things that the Planning Commission has to weigh in on. And the reason I'm saying this to you is I think if you bring it back to the board at the next meeting or the meeting thereafter, and this board approves a 12-month moratorium without any Planning Commission approval, you may get lucky and there may not be a specific user that is trying to go before the Planning Commission to get one in, and you may dodge the bullet for 12 months and say no harm, no foul, we did that. But if you've got somebody now that is interested in putting one in and you've put a 12-month moratorium on it and you haven't followed the rules, which Judge Ludington clearly said, and it's not binding on you, but the analysis was perfect, saying that you got to start with the Planning Commission, you're going to get sued. You're going to lose that case. So, you know, and the fact that Northfield did it, I could care less what Northfield did. Every municipality does different things for different reasons. But I'm telling you that if it's a land use issue and it requires an amendment in your zoning ordinance, it does not start here. So I'm certainly, as you know, willing to talk to you about it in more detail whenever you're free, but be careful on that, okay?
No, I definitely will, Mr. Supervisor. I know this is public comments. It's kind of unprecedented to have, discussion like this, but this is a fairly worthwhile topic. I will talk with you, Mr. Siebert, in between our next board meetings. I do intend to take some action to at least have a board consensus to direct whatever the appropriate path is. But I don't know that we can take, Mr. Supervisor, I know that in talking with Jonathan, is this something that they're already discussing and have been? It's not like I'm the first person to oh, wow, data centers. Like, I realize that there are talented people who have been looking at this, but I don't know that it's safe to wait until we're identified, because I have been following, these data centers in other communities, and there's a lot of work that just somehow does take place in the shadows, and these organizations come forward with a very clear indication that there was a lot of planning and a lot of development that went on before the people were advised, or the people who represent the people were advised, and they find themselves in well, there's nothing we can do. I don't want to be part of saying to the public, well, there's nothing we can do. So I will engage with you, Mr. Siebert, and understand the proper protocol. But on the 27th, I'm bringing something to this board to vote on to start that process, because whatever it is that we need to do, we need to get out in front of it and understand all of the issues. And I appreciate that our council is well versed, and I'm guessing probably had something to do with the public hearings out in Washington Township and, the like. So I appreciate the in-house knowledge. I agree. Definitely not the same as looking at an Amazon processing center, but last I checked, Amazon doesn't use lakes of water and enough power to generate the Back to the Future car gigawatts of that are required for these data centers. So these are things that could adversely impact our community, and I'm going to bring something on the 27th, and hopefully it's on the appropriate path. Thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just wanted to comment, Mr. Speaker, you said you had a scanning issue at the bank. Please contact my office or contact Crystal and explain what happened there, and then she can research that for you. Thank you.
Clerk Berry?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Congratulations to all of the individuals who are appointed to their commissions tonight. Would like to remind all of those who have been appointed to a committee or a commission that we need to swear you in at the clerk's office, so we'd be happy to accommodate your schedule. If you could please contact us and let us know. Either myself or Deputy Clerk Rush will be happy to get you sworn in before you begin your service on those commissions, or for those who maybe have been on a commission and were never sworn in for one reason or another, please contact the clerk's office so that we can go ahead and take care of that little bit of business with you. Also, I'd like to highly recommend that all new commission members also become very familiar with the Open Meetings Act. I have seen that some members through the years inadvertently may have violated Open Meetings Act provisions simply because they weren't aware of them. So know that the Open Meetings Act does apply, as well as to the board here. It applies to all boards, all commissions, whether they be advisory or whatever their designation is. That still applies to all of us. So if you need any help with that, or you need to be provided with a copy of that, we'd be happy to provide that for you as well. Also, just on a lighter note, I was very happy to see on social media today a posting from Chesterfield Township on Emmeline Cotton, who was born in 1844 here in Chesterfield Township. She lived to be 101. For those of you who are involved in the Historical Society or who just kind of keep up on Chesterfield history, I did not know that that post was being done. And it was a very nice, I encourage you to look it up on the Chesterfield Township social media to take a look at that. I'm not going to kind of go all through it, but the reason why I was so pleased to see it is that was, many of you know, I'm a descendant from the Cottons and the Fairchilds, and so I was raised with a very strong history of Chesterfield Township. My grandmother was born in the farmhouse where the very first township organizational meeting was held in the living room of the farmhouse that she was born into. So we have a very, very strong history here. And so my service here in Chesterfield Township is very personal to me. And I was just so pleasantly surprised to see that they recognized my four greats grandmother, Emmeline Cotton. And so one of the things that it mentions in that post, it mentions that her brother Jay served in the Civil War. And one interesting thing to note, and I may bring it in if I can wrestle it away from my uncle who has it, we have an original letter that was sent to her from her brother during his service in the Civil War, talking about when he was able to meet President Lincoln during his service. And and he talked about Chesterfield Township, it wasn't that then, it was called Macomb, with the president at the time. And just a real quick, cute little story to let you know, when he met the president, he'd been injured and was in a hospital, field hospital. The president came through, and he was a very tall man. The Cottons were very tall. And so being a good service member, he stood up to greet the president. And the president said, "How dare you," and he was joking, he had a great sense of humor, President Lincoln. He said, "How dare you stand a head taller than the president?" So as tall as Lincoln was, Jay Cotton was taller. And so they had a very nice exchange. And again, he mentioned that he was from, again, at the time it was Macomb Township. So anyway, just a little bit of lightness to the evening where we had some heaviness. And I want to just thank the PR the individuals who chose to post that today. Thank you on behalf of myself and my family. We really appreciated seeing that. Thank you.
Real quick for myself, Catherine, thank you and welcome to the township. Please don't worry about the funds. We've got projects. We needed a group motivated to connect it, and the two people right behind you are gonna you connect with, and we'll get them going. As was stated, the data centers, I have been monitoring them. We are engaged in them. There is activities. I think first thing we need to do, and I'll begin working on it even more diligently, is the experts in front of us to make the decisions, along with our expert legal counsel that spoke tonight, to address that in the township moving forward. The request for state and federal projects for community development dollars is underway. The legislation changes as how they are allocated from the state. If the board has any pet projects that they would like to see or capital plans that they would like to see, we need to get those now, and I would ask if there's something that you would like to see happen in the township that we can submit for, both on the state and federal level. We need to get those projects right away, and what I would ask is a single page, an estimate of cost to submit to our legislative partners, both at the state and federal level. They now do have to plan for these projects, and unfortunately, when you submit the projects, they have to have an estimate of cost that's fairly accurate. So again, fellow board members, if there's a project that you want to see or you'd like to at least announce or present to them, please get it through our office. Karen will make the accommodations to pass it through. I'm very excited about this program. Mr. John Johnson of the Southeast Chamber is a board member on United Way. Met with him about a month and a half ago, and he presented a program that United Way is funding through the Balmar Group. And this program actually offers communities and school districts funding for your summer school and summer camp programs. We immediately met with him. He brought out the representatives from United Way. Both Karen and Michelle Vanderson met with them, and I'm very happy and excited to say we've partnered with Anchor Bay Schools. We're trying to get Lance Cruz in New Haven to participate. The superintendent at Anchor Bay is working with them. Literally, this is an educational summer camp program. There's a lot to it. But the ultimate goal would be to have the Balmar Group through United Way completely pay and fund all of our summer camp programs at the community center. And what this is, the program is an educational summer camp where there's an educational component to it. where teachers actually come in and instruct, and then there's an element of entertainment and fun for the children. Hopefully, we'll have a further presentation on this in the coming months. Again, Michelle and Karen have been very busy trying to accommodate this, orchestrating it with the local school districts. You did see that we have boards and commission posting online. There are some commission postings that are coming up to term, and we will have to reappoint them. We are always looking for new participants in our program. As the director said today, MSP limited response is an issue that we're going to have to address. We're going to continue to work through technology issues here in the township, try to move towards a single platform, or at least an integration of other platforms that focus mainly with our BSNA platform. This includes online payment, kiosk payments, and then, again, system integrations across multiple platforms. We'll continue that progress through this year. One of the biggest ones that we're focusing on now is the AIM water system. We're near completion with the implementation of remote water meters readings. We're going to move this year, migrate this year to actually deploying it out to the residents so they can see it, along with real-time monitoring for the residents. So that being said, we do have a closed session meeting tonight. I will make a motion to enter into closed session, supported by Trustee Anderson. Clerk Berry.
Mr. Supervisor, if you could please restate your motion with the reason for entering closed session?
You want to read it?
Sure.
Yep.
14A is a closed session of the board to discuss labor relations strategy pursuant to Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act, and 14B is a closed session to consult with the township attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation in the matter of Prime Site Media, LLC versus Chesterfield, Charter Township of Chesterfield, U.S. District Court docket number 225 CV 13058 pursuant to Section 8(1)E of the Open Meetings Act.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to enter into closed session. It was supported by Trustee Anderson. Clerk Berry, call the roll.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph. Aye. Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Treasurer Elliott. Clerk Berry, aye.
At 9:33. Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to return to open session. Is there any support? Trustee Hornberger, Clerk Berry, call the roll.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph. Treasurer Elliott. Clerk Berry, aye.
At 9:55, 3 action items coming out of closed session. Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve the tentative agreement with the POLC On-Call Fire Group. Is there any support?
Support.
Trustee Joseph? Discussion? Clerk Berry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph. Trustee Anderson. Trustee Hornberger. Treasurer Elliott. Clerk Berry, aye.
Second item, Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve the tentative agreement between the Township and MAPE DPW Group. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Anderson. Discussion? Clerk Berry.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph. Trustee Hornberger. Treasurer Elliott. Clerk Berry, aye.
And the last action item is Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to authorize the township attorney and the supervisor to sign the consent agreement resolving litigation between the township and Prime Site Media LLC. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Hornberger. Discussion? Clerk Berry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph. Aye. Treasurer Elliott. Clerk Berry, aye.
Motion passes. Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve or adjourn at 9:56. Is there support? Trustee Hornberger, all in favor?